Good looking people, this episode does feature some frank discussion about alcohol use and abuse, particularly by minors. This is an episode where Cory does use alcohol to try and numb the pain of his breakup with Topanga. We just wanted to let you know that ahead of time. This is just where the series went at the time. And if this is a sensitive topic for you, we wanted to give you that heads up.
So then it's like your palate
Depending
is a
on
little
what was last on
different.
it, I agree. But if I'm going from egg rolls to French toast sticks, no. I want to clean that first.
I draw a line at fish. If I have fish, I always clean it no matter what.
Fish sticks to French toast sticks would be disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
And I like both of those.
When these dads meet world, watching Boy Meets World. We grew up on the show, now we have kids and host a podcast. We watch each episode and then share our thoughts and grades. When these dads meet world.
They want you to take the roles.
That's right. You can have all the roles you want because they're coming at you fast, they're coming at you furious, and if you've liberated the liquor from your father's cabinet, and that's when he's given it to you, there's going to be 3 more rolls than you expect because you'll have triple vision. Well, if you didn't catch that reference, good-looking people, stick around because it'll make sense. Welcome to Dad's Meet World, your weekly deep dive into the world of Cory Matthews, Shawn Hunter, and all of their wild and zany exploits, shall we say, where we dive deep and explore their world through the eyes of 2 dads who grew up on the show and now like to look at it through the eyes of us as dads with kids who get up to hopefully not quite this level of exploits. This week, I am riding in the driver's seat. Dad number 1, Brett. Riding shotgun with me is...
I am dad number mozzarella sticks 2, Tyler.
And Tyler, how's it going out there? Do you have snow? I have snow here.
Oh, yeah, we got snow. We got hit pretty hard a few weeks ago, and actually everything kind of went away for the most part. We had like 2 days of like kind of a rainy-ish, but like not too bad. And then all of a sudden we were hit like that next night and just all of it was gone again. So it's the first time in years we've had consistent white basically throughout all of December, which is quite nice, but also made hunting very difficult this year.
I believe it. Now, the big question, have you bagged anything this year?
No, hunting season is all over, and I did not bag anything. Um, I didn't see the great buck in front of me this year, and almost every doe I saw was so small. I could talk for a while based on my experiences with hunting, and mostly in the ways that my state has jacked up hunting to make it more complicated. But it is what it is.
That sounds like an extra credit podcast sometime.
Maybe. Well, maybe we could always get another hunter on here as well to explain it a little bit better. But,
Hunters on Hunting with Shawn Hunter.
Yeah. Brett, shall we make a prediction on Christmas since we're recording this a few days beforehand?
Let's. Yes. What kind of prediction shall we make?
My prediction is all of the football games on Netflix are disappointing, either because people can't watch them, or most likely because they can't watch it, or because the refs have really bad calls and everyone goes, why?
With one of the 2 games being a Chiefs game, yes, I will completely guarantee with that, or agree with that. with the trouble they had with the Jake Paul Mike Tyson event, I will completely get on board with that. And I don't even know who their announcing crews are. I don't know what networks they would have gone through to get announcing crews, but I had to sit through Tom Brady on Sunday or Saturday to watch the game, to watch the Steelers game on Saturday. And it was, at one point, Kelly looked over at me and she's like, "Did you hear that?" I'm like, "No, I've been zoning out whenever he starts talking lately."
Hmm?
And it's that bad. Like, I wish I could be paid millions of dollars to, in the span of 5 minutes, correct myself and make myself sound that bad on national television.
Hmm?
Oh, well.
Well, one of the things I've heard over the past couple of years is you can be the best player at something, but not be able to do one small thing over here, and you have to accept that limitation.
Yeah.
And the problem
Like,
is
maybe
they want a big name. That's all that matters. Is a big
they do.
name.
And Greg Olson is fantastic in the role that Tom Brady kicked him out of. Greg Olson in that
Mhm.
role is fantastic. I like watching the games that he does. Tom might be good in a studio role where they bring him
Mhm.
on for 5-6 minutes or even in a 10-minute segment. Tom live,
Right.
no, not especially not in their number one broadcast team.
And my problem will always be too, Brett, is they wanted a Tony Romo, where Tony Romo is like I actually enjoy listening to him do color commentary because you'll hear him and talking through it like almost like he's trying to coach them. Okay, now do this. Now do this. Okay, well they didn't do that. They should have done X, Y, Z. They didn't do this. Maybe well now they're going to have to do this instead, and they're going to have to come up with a formation that's so. As an audience member, you're kind of learning through
Mhm.
him, where I think that's what they want for Tom, and I don't think Tom processes like that, and that's okay.
No, and that's perfectly fine. That's not who he is.
Right.
But yeah.
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 Also, I just wish, going back, that Tom Brady would be the person we hear about now through like Julie Edelman's podcast and what Rob Gronkowski says about him. Like, I wish we would have heard, "Hello, I play for the Patriots. I already have 3 Super Bowls. I want to be the greatest quarterback of all time." I'd be like, I respect that. But like he came out with this like, "Oh, we're just here. We're so happy. We're so lucky to be playing the game that we love so much." It's like, shut up and tell us you're the best quarterback. If you want to be that guy, be that guy. I'll have more respect for that. Don't now say, "Well, I'm the GOAT. Everyone says I'm the GOAT." No, not everyone says you're a GOAT. ESPN and marketing teams keep saying it, but you are not. But if you come out and said, "I'm here to be the GOAT, the greatest
Well,
quarterback of all time."
let's talk about something that's not football or the GOAT. Let's talk about hockey. I want to take just a minute before we dive in. I mentioned hockey. I said we should talk about
Let's
hockey.
talk hockey.
But instead of hockey, well, yeah, I was at a hockey game this afternoon before we came in and we were recording because our kids are in marching band, and 3 out of the last 4 years, our high school marching band has been invited to go up to Cleveland to march in as a featured performer in between periods. So that in intermission, they have a marching band marching on the ice to perform for fans at an AHL hockey game. And so just to share my screen a little bit with you, Tyler, and to give the good-looking people just a little peek at what we got to see. probably about 2/3 of our band. 2/3 of our marching band. And this is a simplified version of that routine for that song. And they're wearing very, very small spikes, but like they get to go out and march on the ice at a hockey game. And this also turned out to be the annual teddy bear toss game where the team invites fans to bring a stuffed animal with them out to the game, where after the home team scores their first goal, or after the second period ends, if they don't happen to score a goal by that point, you throw your stuffed animal out onto the ice and they collect them and they donate them to a local charity. This is what it looks like when you've got a few dozen thousand fans throwing their teddy bears out onto the ice.
Why so many teddy bears?
There were over 21,000 stuffed animals collected.
Interesting.
It was just really, really impressive. But that's where my afternoon was spent. And fun story. This was almost at the end of the second period before they scored their first goal. They were down 2-1 at that point, and we kind of had an impromptu, oops, you guys threw your teddy bears too early because we thought that they scored when they supposedly didn't. About a third of people in the arena thought they scored a goal when they didn't, because I swear that puck went in the net. I don't know if it landed on top of it briefly or what, but we all thought it went in.
Yeah.
Anyway, I do think we should get into this week's episode. And let me bring that up here. Good looking people, we are we are exploring episode 18 of season 5, If You Can't Be With the One You Love. Depressed by his breakup with Topanga, Cory gets a reputation of being a downer, which he tries to shake off by drinking and partying. When Shawn catches Cory in the act, he convinces Shawn to try it as well, he being Cory, with disastrous results. Trouble arises when Shawn discovers he likes the alcohol a little too much. This episode was written by Gary H. Miller. This is the first of 5 that he will write, including You're Married, You're Dead, We'll Have a Good Time Then, No Such Thing as a Sure Thing, and I'm Gonna Be Like You, Dad. He was also a consulting producer on 4 episodes, none of which he wrote. Directed by Alan Meyerson, originally aired March 6, 1998, 1 week after our last episode, and currently enjoys an 8.6 IMDb rating, which is 0.8 points lower than the last episode and still is high enough for a top-tier level according to their rating system. It's also tied with Graduation for second place in this season in the IMDb ratings. So, Tyler, our last episode was a 13.30 in the Nielsen ratings. How do you think this episode fared?
Oh, boy. What did you say last week was again?
It was 13.30.
13.30. I don't know.
I need to get some Jeopardy music.
This is just such a weird time period in this, because they have such an intense storyline you think people will stick around for, but then there's drop-offs, and then there was Shawn, so I don't know. Let's go with 12.
All right. You're a little too high. We dropped all the way down to 11.76.
Oh.
Yep.
Well, that is what it is.
It is. We're starting to get into that springtime where spring sports are starting up, and it's warm and
It's
people are
true.
going on dates and whatnot. Yeah, well. But good looking people, let's look into it. Just of note, this is one of 3 episodes this season that was not necessarily banned, but Disney did not run much of in syndication when they started running the show on their own network.
Mm-hmm.
Gee, I wonder why.
I can't think of a reason.
Yeah, can't think of it either. We start off with Shawn and Cory leaving Feeney's class, talking about how he's not just bored, he's angry because apparently feudalism is a very angering topic at John Adams High. He's pushing kids into lockers. Other people are pushing kids into lockers. Everyone's understanding because it's feudalism.
Yep.
Cory's
Shawn
trying to
learned
wish
something,
Topanga-
Brett.
He did. Cory's trying to wish Topanga a nice weekend, and he doesn't get that a breakup is supposed to be a breakup. He's not allowing distance to happen after the breakup.
Mm-hmm.
And Shawn's trying to explain to him that Topanga is suffering with dignity and she's handling the breakup with dignity. Meanwhile, Cory's being Cory the downer. And Shawn demonstrates this by saying, you break into tears every 3, 2, 1, and Cory breaks down into tears. And I mean, we get the visual cue that he's carrying a handkerchief around and that he got from Grandpa Poppy because he always had poppy seeds.
Mm-hmm.
And we learn that Cory's gotten to be really depressing to be around, and that even Shawn is getting depressed to be around. And that's why he's not invited to Kimberly Sussman's party tonight to celebrate her new nose.
Mm-hmm.
I guess John Adams High is a little bit higher end than we've always assumed. If Kimberly Sussman can afford a nose job.
Of course it is. But, Brett, you know how it is when a friend is depressed and not sure how to interact with other people and what to do with his life, and how you just start talking down to them and unwilling to deal with them.
Cory's in a tough spot. He really
I do believe
is.
it's a birthday gift for Kimberly to get this nose job.
Probably is. But either way, her parents are, if you can afford to give your teenager cosmetic surgery, you're a little more well off than what we were assuming kids at this school were.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, Cory will explain later on exactly why he's in this spot. But we'll say from here, Cory is depressed.
Yep.
And he doesn't
Cory
know
needs
how
therapy.
to handle it. He does. He needs some therapy. If we were sponsored by BetterHelp, this would be a fantastic ad read for BetterHelp.
It would be.
Yes. Hashtag not a sponsor, but hey, you could. Just say.
Yeah, you could. You should.
But in 1998, we weren't as hip to the cause, but Cory really could have benefited from some counseling here. Yep. And Shawn is not built for that.
No.
I mean, Shawn flat out tells him he doesn't really, he's nobody wants to be around Cory the downer. Shawn's getting there. Cory tells him to his face, he doesn't want to be around himself either.
Cory really needs like a young, hip, groovy teacher to talk through, the complications.
Yes.
Unfortunately, we really need Turner.
This is a great time for Turner or even Eli,
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, depression's a nasty beast.
Mm-hmm.
I've dealt with depression. I've worked with teenagers who've dealt with depression.
Or an actual, guidance counselor.
Yeah. One that won't send you to Texas, but there'd be a great opportunity to have a couple of episodes to bring in a guidance counselor or a counselor proper
Mm-hmm.
to allow us to, if this were not 1998, if this were 20 years later, even if not today, we might have the opportunity to see Cory interact with an actual counselor to work out some of these feelings, even in talk
Mm-hmm.
therapy. Yeah.
Yeah. But I do like how Corey is very honest in that he doesn't really want to be around himself either.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it's blunt. No one wants to be around me, Shawn. I don't want to be around me. And sadly, Shawn just kind of walks away after that. And the next thing we see is we're at Kimberly Sussman's party.
Mm-hmm.
Kimberly Sussman, by the way, played by Vanessa Evigan. First and only time we'll see her on Boy Meets World. 38 total acting credits, including shows like You Wish over on the other ABC show by our illustrious producer here. The Young and the Restless, Sorority Boys, How I Met Your Mother, In Plain Sight, a slew of TV movies, and other productions. She was also on
Who's he playing? How I Met Your Mother.
I don't remember. Let me look that up while we're talking here. She also was a VFX producer, in addition to some of this acting work from 2010 to 2014.
Nice.
Mostly for video games. But would you say a good word to describe her interaction with Angela would be catty?
That's a great, nice way of saying it, Brett. Yes.
That was just the only word that really sprung to mind, because she's all about, hey, if do you mind? Is it okay if I dance with Shawn? Well, Shawn can dance with whoever he wants, but he'll be going home with me. Like, okay. It's just the whole attitude. I mean, it's very high school girls. For her role in How I Met Your Mother, it was in the episode Okay Awesome, when they go to the nightclub. She was the character of Kelly.
Yeah, it's basically a one-off character.
Yeah.
Although I will say I'm also on her IMDb, and now I'm seeing that she played Katie in Holiday in Handcuffs, which we watched as a family.
I completely glossed over that. It didn't click with me. Or I would have thrown that on there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yes, she did. Yep.
Yeah, you have to. I will say you have to watch it on the adult version of Disney Plus because it will not pop up on the regular version.
I don't think I watch anything on the regular version of. Wait, do I? I don't know.
I don't know. All I know is that I couldn't find it on mine, but I could find it on my wife's because we have hers set up on a higher one than mine is. The kids mostly watch movies through mine. And so I was like, why can't I find it on mine? I'm like, oh. And I'm like, oh, yeah. Well, they say a couple of jokes maybe that they shouldn't say. And then a few more things pop up. I'm like, oh, man, this is not. I can fully understand why Disney's like, I don't want kids watching this.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't. I think mine's set up. My own profile is set up for as high as it can get. So, but anyway, Kimberly's house is the Matthews living room, just redressed.
Of course,
so we get the living room again. Yeah, which I mean, hey, I'm not knocking it. I'm just bringing it up, just pointing it out. I'm not knocking it. It is perfectly natural TV reusage.
Yeah,
but
I mean, it's not like the actual set has really changed. It's just they're not using it.
Yeah. Why build a new set when you've got a perfectly good one sitting there? Would just put up a couple of fake walls and some curtains.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
A wet bar. Okay.
Of course.
But Cory's crashing. Everyone's deliberately supposed to not tell Cory, but he's crashing. And Kimberly is gonna bounce him until he tells her she looks just like Bridget Fonda.
Yes.
Which, good looking people, I'm sure Tyler has a deep dive on her. But just know if you're not sure who Bridget Fonda is, she was a movie star.
Yes, I do have something
all
for her.
All right, that's as much as I'll say at this point. Then,
yeah, I mean, Kimberly's not here to be liked. That's for sure. She's a one-off for just this scene, and literally, she wants to make a move on Shawn. She also, after Cory flirts a little bit, is willing to.
She's all over Cory.
Yeah, now she's all over Cory. Like, she just wants to be able to say, "I stole your man." Like, honestly, there's a part of me that wishes that it would have been Jennifer they would have brought back for one more episode.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if Cory would have been willing to hit on her.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. That would have been more interesting, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, but let's talk about Cory. Do we really think Cory is smooth? Because let's be flat out honest here, good looking people. Cory is not normal Cory here. And if you've never seen the episode, here's your spoiler warning. Cory is already 2 sheets to the wind. Cory is under the influence of alcohol. Cory's already half drunk. Is Cory actually smooth at this party?
If you're asking me, I say no. He's just saying what someone who's shallow wants to hear.
Mm-hmm.
So he's just saying out loud the thing that he desires to hear. Like, I mean,
he's self-deprecating.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like, okay, let's go there, Brett. At a regular high school party with quote unquote popular people, do you know what would be there, Brett? Alcohol. Mm-hmm. So if they are already drinking and Cory shows up a little bit more drunk, then he's just considered bringing more fun to the party. But they're making it out to seem like this party is completely no alcohol whatsoever. And Cory shows up drunk, and everyone thinks he's being so funny. What's his deal? And it does not logistically make any sense. I'm not saying there aren't dry parties, but you're telling me that someone that has enough money in her family to get a nose job is just willingly throwing a dry party?
And Cory's explanation to Jack later is we got a little too drunk at a party, and Shawn liked it a little too much.
You know,
it's like it's a logical fallacy in the story that
correct.
They have to force it a little too much.
They do. And the other hard truth about this, Brett, is he is drinking hard liquor. It's not beer. And trust me, I mean, I've known plenty of high schoolers when I was in high school who got drunk on beer, drank way too much, passed out at parties, yada, yada. But at no point have I ever seen anyone just bring hard liquor somewhere and not gotten themselves into really big trouble.
Oh, this is bourbon, whiskey, or scotch. And Cory, as Shawn puts it, as Mr. All-American teenager, has absolutely no tolerance for alcohol. And going straight to bourbon, whiskey, or scotch, I'm going to assume this is at least 20 proof. I'm going to assume this is at least 40 proof, which would be 20% alcohol by volume. So there's your little bit of information, your education there, good looking people. Cory's consuming at least 20% alcohol with each swig. Straight alcohol, each swig. for a 17-year-old who has no tolerance for alcohol, Cory should not be able to form words by the time he and Shawn leave the bathroom in the second act.
He shouldn't have been able to form words before he got there. Unless he literally took a shot before he walked in.
It depends on how much was in the bottle to start with. I'm going to assume if he liberated it from Alan's liquor cabinet, it probably wasn't brand new.
Right.
Alan probably took a couple of slugs off of it already.
Right. Now, I'll out myself a little bit, Brett. I know how many beers is my limit. It's 3. Once I hit 3, I don't drink another one. That's it. I will never cross that boundary. I never have. I never will. I don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
And then normally that's like I'm at like a barbecue, like I'm at like a family function that's going on from 12 o'clock until like 9 o'clock at night, from, early hot dogs to late s'mores. Like through the course of the whole night, I'll have 3 and then be like, well, I probably should call it a night. Or I will have, like, I'll go to a restaurant and order a full Dr. Pepper and a shot of rum. I'll pour the rum into the Dr. Pepper because I only want a little bit of the rum. I don't want the whole, like, this little bit of a drink that also has a whole shot in it. I'd much rather control the amount I'm having, because for me, personally, I like the taste of it. I like a little bit how I feel a little bit of bubbly, but I don't want to feel like I'm not putting all of my sorrows and hopes into this drink making me feel better. And sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was going to let you finish your thought.
No, I know for me, I can have a sip of alcohol and be like, that's what it is. I don't feel the propensity. I don't feel that addictive nature to just keep going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, good-looking people, don't think that we're teetotalers here at Dad's Meat World. We are not. I did grow up in a teetotaling family who are not teetotalers any longer. They were when I grew up, but they aren't any longer. Funny how time changes things.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they listen to this podcast. Pretty sure they don't. But
our parents, our wives, our children, it doesn't matter.
This is going to be the one thing that proves whether or not they listen. But I mean, they were teetotalers when we grew up. When I grew up, I have in college when I was first old enough to drink alcohol for the first time. I set a true drink limit for myself. I've never crossed it. I don't drink beer. I don't like the taste. It for me, it's just a matter of I'm a social drinker. I might have 2 or 3 drinks in a given month. We have a small cabinet in our kitchen up above our pantry. I just cleared it out last week. We don't really drink wine. There were 4 bottles of wine I threw out that we never even opened.
Yep.
There were unfinished bottles in there of stuff that we started and never got around to finishing. That's how little I drink. It's not something that it's not a need. It's not something I use to escape. It's not something I use because I need to do it. It's just something I do because I might enjoy it now and then. Mm-hmm. So, good-looking people, we're not teetotalers. We're not saying that alcohol in and of itself is bad. We're not saying that it's something that is to be avoided at all costs. If there is a propensity for alcoholism, we will side completely with Jack and with Alan.
Yeah.
But let's get further into the episode before we get into that.
I'm happy we discussed that from the vantage point of us of we are not against alcohol, but we respect those that, because one of the things I will say, old podcast I used to listen to, Dak Shepard's podcast, where he talked about how if I have one sip, I know I'm going to do coke that night. And so we don't have that in us, but we respect those that a sip means I am literally going to ruin my life tonight. And that is such a burden. And our hearts do go out for people like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's and it's bad. I mean, for some people it's bad, and for some people that it's my heart really breaks for people to go through that. But for this whole Cory the Mope trying to be suave and cool, it's heartbreaking. It's depressing. He is broken. This whole interaction between him and Topanga, it's brokenness. It's not suave. Did you know there's some music in the background?
No.
It's actually the same music that you'll hear in the Boom Boom Room. Yeah.
I wasn't paying attention, but that makes sense.
Go back and listen. Go back and listen when the ladies are listening for and waiting for the guys to show up to do their dance, and the music in the party in this scene, it is the same background music. I also found it very interesting. So Cory and Topanga are broken up. Kimberly is interested in Cory, but Angela tells her don't go after her best friend's man. Is this a Ross and Rachel, we were on a break situation now?
I gotta feel they're taking an inspiration of that, of no, they're not together, but no, seriously, you should respect the fact that they're dealing with something.
And here's where it all takes a left turn for me. Topanga is telling Cory they're broken up. Cory is saying, I still love you. Topanga is sending very clear, we're done signals, but she's telling Angela, this is still my man, apparently. Cory is not being helped at all by any of this.
Right.
I'm not saying I support any decision he's making here, but it's very clear that the depression is not being helped by people who are claiming to be his friends.
Correct. The other thing is,
any
Brett,
level.
I think that Topanga also may be saying, that's not my man, except every sign that Angela's seeing, is she still loves Cory and wants to be with him. So she can say, we're done, but she has no desire to go and talk to other boys and potentially date anyone else.
That's a fair read.
So, but again, this is complication. I mean, and again, Cory is dealing with stuff mentally and emotionally that someone needs to sit down and talk to him about. And you almost wonder if his parent, this is structured as his parents don't know what to do. Like, it's almost we told you so. Like, we told you these things could happen. We told you, like, what? How can we help you? And he goes, I don't know. So it is sad it's gotten to this point for him. It happens quick, but you know.
Yeah. So we're spending a lot of time downstairs at the party. Let's go upstairs to the bathroom where Cory is kind of hiding out.
Yes, after Cory is apparently being the life of the party, he's now in the bathroom talking to him.
He's hiding out in the bathroom for some reason. Shawn comes looking for him. How's nobody caught on that the combination of mints and I'm just gonna call it whiskey because that's just I'm just gonna call it. I'm gonna pick whiskey. Breath mints do not cover up the smell; they mix with it.
Correct.
Cory has been really in the face of some of these people. How have they not caught on? It's not just breath mints on his. Anyway, how is
nerds are writing this show, Brett?
Yeah, how is Shawn not wise to the fact that Cory is nowhere near himself? And that he says, "Where is Cory the Mope, and what have you done with him?" But why is Shawn not worried?
Because they're high schoolers.
Because the plot needs to plot.
Okay, the only way it can be explained is that everyone is drinking beer And so everyone is on the drunk side. It's the only way to excuse anyone not going, Cory, you're really in a bad path.
You do remember there is some truth. There is a How I Met Your Mother episode where they talk about the different ways that alcohol gets you drunk. There is a little bit of truth to that. There is beer drunk, and then there is liquor drunk. So
Mm-hmm.
if we want to give the writers a little more credit than they might deserve, we could say that everyone at the party is kind of beer drunk and Cory is whiskey drunk.
Right. I mean, maybe everyone at the party is like a beer or two in. They're mostly just, hey, we have a beer, but we're not getting drunk here. And Cory's showing up drunk, and they just don't fully realize how drunk he really is.
Mm. Yeah. But either way, Cory influences Shawn to share in his whiskey that as I said earlier, he liberated from his dad's liquor cabinet. And
Mm-hmm.
I understand that the writers needed some levity in the episode because this is a very heavy topic. This is a very heavy episode. We have no B plot. We have no Eric. We have very little Jack. We have no comedy for this episode outside of a little bit of silly drunk. And I'd give credit to Ben and to Ryder. They do silly drunk pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
I understand they want some levity. They need some levity in this type of a heavy episode.
Yep.
I don't necessarily agree with the decision to really go in lighthearted with here's two teenagers sharing a bottle of whiskey together in the bathroom, just passing it back and forth, taking hits on it, seeing who can have the better funny reaction to it.
Uh-huh. Well, again though, if I mean, unless Cory only took like 2 drinks before he got there, 2 or 3 maybe. So he really, I mean, like he's buzzed, but he's not fully drunk yet. I could see him still having some reaction to it, but like the way they're reacting to it is if it's always the first sip. And again, I know they're trying to go for comedy, trying to be a little funny, but like it's more distasteful now as an adult as I watch it.
Yeah. So we'll kind of move past that. Cory and Shawn are
Don't try that. What do you say? Don't try that peer pressure bull crap on me as he's taking
a swig. Yeah. So they're gonna go walk away from the party. They're gonna leave the party, walk downtown, or at least somewhere else where they can go to a corner store. They're gonna meet a transient, played by Mike Batea. First and only time we'll see him on Boy Meets World. He's kind of got this like Joe Pesci vibe. Joe Pesci from Home Alone. This is only his second ever acting job that he's credited with. 39 acting credits, including Everyone Loves Raymond, Power Rangers Lost Galaxy. I checked, it's just Cadet Number 1. So I don't even know if you'd ever recognize him. Jag, The Shield, CSI Miami, Life, Breaking Bad, It's Always Sunny, Jesse, Dirty, and more. Sadly, he did pass away last year. Possibly suicide.
Oh,
but
rest in peace.
Very sad. So, but he was fantastic here. They convinced him to buy beer for them, buy a 6-pack for them, in exchange for buying 5 more scratch-off tickets, because the one that he was scratching off when he left the store in front of them was not a winner. So, yeah. While he's in there, Cory is talking about his relationship with Shawn actually being more consistent, more sustaining for him than his and Topanga's, because now he doesn't have Topanga. He's still alive. He still has Shawn. And, the transient comes out, makes the low-hanging gay joke. He has a cousin who's
they're hugging each other.
Alternative
I'm not
lifestyle.
ashamed.
Yes,
Now
they're hugging and they're shamed. Yes, I have a cousin who's into an alternative lifestyle. Yeah. So They're gonna. Oh, by the way, we didn't mention that they did pee on a cop car earlier
Yes.
in their
They
discussion.
pee on
Yes.
the top of a cop car.
On the top. That's why
and
they put the
then-
numbers there.
Yes, and then that same cop car shows up because somehow this cop car saw them peeing on them, apparently.
And in the dialogue here, Cory mentions that it's interesting to him that his dad didn't notice that he was half cocked when he left the house, which I wanted to file away because I found it sad that Alan didn't notice.
Right.
Which
Well,
we can touch on later if we want when we get to Alan. Or we can talk about it now. If Cory's actually getting into hard liquor and he's never tasted it before, I'm sure Alan would have noticed if he was paying attention.
right, and that's the thing is, was he actually paying attention? I mean, I literally had today where my son came up to me, was trying to talk to me. I was cooking, so I had cooking stuff all over my hands. I had a headphone in, and he's trying to talk to me, and I had to I had to wash my hands, turn off the things, look over to him, and look and hold his face and go, if you have something to say to me, I need you to say, Dad, I have to talk to you. Because I didn't hear a word you said, and I want to hear from you.
Yeah, I mean, but if you're not going to walk in front of him and be like, hey, Dad, guess what? I mean, it's possible to walk out of the house without your dad noticing you.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you were interacting with him,
right?
It's very possible to walk out of the house to go to a party without him noticing you.
Oh, yeah. Well, and honestly, listen, someone has a couple of sips of something and they just have a little bit more bubbly of a personality, a little bit more cheerful, maybe his parents just thought, hey, maybe he's just in a good mood because he's going to a party.
Yeah, very possible.
They're happy he's going out. They're happy he's not just staying inside. It could literally be as simple as that.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Could be. And all of a sudden, a cop car pulls up, lights blazing, siren going. And it's the same car they peed on. They've been busted.
Now, do you have any of the conversation between Alan Matthews and
I do.
the boys?
Good-looking people.
Wonderful.
I've got a few clips that we're going to bounce around in between coming up in the next segment here. Yes. So we're going to start off with this thought here. Actually, we'll just start off with the clip. All right.
Okay.
We're going to start off with this clip here.
I cannot believe that my kid stole liquor from my cabinet like somebody else's kid.
Have they been charged with anything? Are they going to have a record?
No, the charges were dropped because they are juveniles and there was no prior arrest.
Cory, this isn't you.
No, of course it isn't. Somebody influenced them, didn't someone?
Alan?
No, Dad, okay? You're completely wrong. I did this completely on my own.
Come on. You're covering up for Shawn like you always do.
No, I'm not. Okay, in fact, I'm the one who got him to drink.
No. Stop protecting me, Cory. Yeah, you know how lousy he's been feeling. Well, he wanted to feel good, and I showed him how.
Shawn, what are you doing?
I am sick and tired of overlooking the influence you have on my kid.
Alan, that's enough. Come into the other room. I want to talk to you.
It's probably a good idea.
There's a lot to take in from this first clip.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, no prior arrests for Shawn. Interesting to know with all of the background that they've got for everything that we know of his background. Secondly, Alan is very much on the warpath, believing that Cory has been seduced to the dark side by Shawn.
Mm-hmm.
And third, that Shawn, very noble of him to try and take the rap for everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I had it written down in my notes at one time in here. I had the list of everything that they would have done on here. Public intoxication, public urination, defacing of government property, underage drinking, and there was a fifth infraction that
Oh,
I
in
could think
possession.
of.
There's
Yeah,
in possession of.
Yeah, possession of. I'm not sure in Philadelphia which one of those would be misdemeanors, which one might be felony. I don't know for sure. Interesting that they each would have been dropped against both of them because of no priors. But if they were, that's a very forgiving judge.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing I can think of is that it's a TV show and we can't have our two main characters
Doing
going to
crime,
jail.
doing time.
Yeah, I mean,
it would have been great for at least community service, you know?
it would have. I guess the only thing I can think of in general is this is not hardened Philadelphia,
Yeah.
gang-ridden streets. This is suburb, potentially even in a different county other than the main hub, and so they are not as
They are in a privileged area.
they think for sure in a privileged area.
Yeah. Cedar Heights.
So, yes. I mean, at the end of the day, Brett, the hard part in this is that they have crossed a line.
Oh, totally.
And I think Alan just does not know how to respond. And the
I don't
only
think
thing
he
he
does
knows how
either.
to do
I
is
think he's
respond
just
with anger.
Yeah, and this is we've talked before a lot of times about Alan and his hot-headed nature and how that tends to be his first response, and he's had time to get the call that his son's in lockup, why he was in lockup, to drive down, bail him out, bail his best friend out, drive them back to his house, all that time to sit and fume and think about what would he say, and all of that anger and frustration build up. Cory's probably lucky that this is as far as it goes at this moment.
Yep. Well, and I will say I don't want Alan to be off the hook just yet, but I love how they at the end of the episode talk through what Alan was feeling and dealing with this situation.
Yeah.
It doesn't completely justify his anger in the way he talks to Shawn, but it rationalizes a good amount of it. Just as a dad, I fully understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's see a little more Alan here.
Yep.
Forget it, Dad, okay? Forget it. I'm not doing that.
I'm not giving you the choice.
Cory, you were drinking tonight.
I don't care, Mom. Dad drinks.
I am slightly over 21. And when I do drink, I drink responsibly. And when you are ready to do what I do, then you can get out of this house and get a job.
What if Kimberly's party wasn't within walking distance? Would you have driven?
Okay, I wouldn't drink and drive. I'm not a moron.
You peed on a cop car. How smart is that?
It is a good joke.
That's one of the most organically funny lines in the whole episode.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is right after right after Alan and Amy are telling them they need to take some time apart. The friendship's not over, but they need to take some time apart. But that anger is still rolling off of Alan, and I mean, jabbing that finger into Cory's chest to make his point. I mean, it's
you can see
scary
Ben
to
coming
watch,
through.
you know?
Yeah. Okay, so there's a part of me, Brett, that goes the actor of Ben Savage is trying to act as Cory, who is emotional but definitely drunk. And the way that Rusty is acting as an angry Alan is pulling Ben out of the scene as drunk Cory and almost allowing Cory, like, because he's genuinely reacting like, I don't know how to react right now. You can see that as a son being like, my father, who has never hit me, if he was drunk, instead of a poke to the chest, it could easily be a punch.
Yeah.
Like this is the first time, maybe in a long time, he has ever been actually afraid of his father. Because even though he's slightly taller than his dad is putting him in his place. I mean,
just using
gosh,
a finger, man.
Yeah. I mean,
My
even with my
dad can back
7-year-old.
me into the door with his finger. Oh, like
Mhm.
crap.
Oh yeah. Well, even with my 7-year-old, I've had a couple of times with him now of like, I'll look at him and be like, I am your father. You will talk to me a certain way. This is the way it's going to be. I'm not asking you. I'm telling you this is the way it's going to be. And every time I'm like, gosh, I hate this so much, but like there's a certain level of I am dad. This is the way it is, and you will accept it.
Yeah.
It just is required of raising a boy.
Yeah. It really is. And so, but even in the midst of all of this anger, Cory does own up to the point where Alan can actually hear what he has to say.
I just broke up with someone that I spent my entire life with. I don't have a heart anymore. I've lost my life. So I went up to your liquor cabinet and I took a bottle of whiskey and I made Shawn drink because I didn't want to be alone.
Shawn, forget it. No. I was worried about my kid, and I said some things that I shouldn't have.
It's okay.
It is not okay. And I apologize.
I love that in all of Alan's anger and frustration with his son, he is trying to immediately amend fences with Shawn because he knows he is in the wrong. He's in the right as a father, but he's in the wrong as the father's as a father of a friend to another kid.
Yeah,
I think I got it right.
He's right he's righteous in his anger, but he is wrong in his target.
Yes. It needs to go to bed.
Yes. Yeah, he needs to go cool off. And in 1998, to hear a father apologize, to hear a man apologize to a kid he just chewed out when he was wrong was not something you would hear a lot of, if at all. And it was huge to see Alan be able to do this just as soon as he found out that he was chewing out the wrong kid. And it spoke volumes for him, of him.
Yeah.
And I always respected him as a character, as a dad, and I think that's a reason that a lot of people look up to him as one of their favorite TV dads. And for me, I like to think that in those moments where I might be wrong, where I might be misplaced in where I'm directing my frustration, my anger, if I'm called on it, that I'll have that type of conviction to be able to apologize when it's needed. And I have at times.
Yeah. It's good.
You know, what would Alan do?
Can I share a quick story with you?
Please do.
So there's a man you used to work for. I won't use his name because I don't want to embarrass him. I hope he never hears us. I don't think he will. But it was told a story of his at one point when one of his younger sons was out with a bunch of buddies almost around the time of curfew, because good-looking people in the town I grew up in, we had a citywide mandated curfew, so people weren't being dumb, essentially. And so they were out right past curfew, and they were all supposed to be staying the night at said person's house. And they had to get in their van and go wander around to find the boys who were supposed to be staying the night and not there. And when they got picked up, this man who is a pastor, was a pastor, definitely said something to the effect of, "Boys are damn foolish, that's for sure, walking around these streets at this time." And these could be like, "Oh my gosh, the pastor just swore. He must be really mad." Yeah. Fun times.
Fun times, indeed. Yes. But the boys agree, no more drinking.
Yes, it's. This is going to get into the second half of my slight frustration with this episode, Brett, of just Cory had one night of making a foolish mistake, and he goes, "Never again. I'm never drinking whatsoever again." And that being like the way he tries to downplay, we just had a few sips. This little small thing happened, bothers me. It bothers me more in the way he tries to cover up and talk down what that night was compared to the way it actually was happening that we saw.
Yeah. Cory really does downplay it. I mean, let's kind of fast forward a little bit. Because Shawn has a hissy fit in class. Cory,
that's a good way to put it.
Mr. Feeney gives him Mr. Feeney kicks him out. He gives Cory permission to leave and go follow him, which I thought it was great because Feeney knows something's wrong and he lets Cory go find out what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out Shawn's been drinking all week so that Cory will worry about him instead of Topanga, but he didn't tell Cory his plan. And Shawn turns out to be a mean drunk. And Jack walks in while Shawn's drinking. Turns out Jack's mom left Chet because Chet was an angry, abusive drunk, which Shawn doesn't like to hear about. And then Angela and Topanga come in, and we got everyone in the same room. Everything's out on the table. Chet was an abusive drunk. Alcoholism runs in the family, and Shawn needs to stay away from alcohol. Jack, we can assume, stays away from it because he knows about it. Cory is trying to diminish everything he did because Shawn, it was the worst night of my life. It was the worst I've ever felt. I was an adorable drunk, to Topanga. And we agreed never to do again. I haven't. And it's like one thing out the one side of my mouth, I was an adorable drunk, out the other to Topanga. It's like you're shooting yourself in the foot while you're trying to help your friend. I mean, and then you've got Shawn trying while intoxicated to defend that he does it because he likes it, and winds up slamming Angela into the door because he doesn't like that she's trying to talk to him.
But that's before he and his brother wrestle each other to the couch.
Yes, yet another glowing example of I can control myself while on alcohol, under the influence of alcohol. All in all, with the compressed time frame of television, and the way they have to tell their stories. I thought that this was with Shawn and Jack and Angela, with about the 90 seconds of time they had available to them here. I thought that this was an effective way to portray finding out that dad was an abusive alcoholic, and this is what alcoholism can show up as in a family. And that it can affect and does affect more than just those who consume it, which is not, it's that can be the real danger of alcoholism. It's not just what it can do to your body, but it's what it does to the people around you as well.
Yeah, and
And
how you
that's something
interact with them.
Exactly. Which is, I think, with everything with all the problems that I had with the show up to this point, these last couple of minutes are probably the strength of the episode.
Yeah. Well, and I like the way that Angela responds to the shove.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't respond with lashing back. She doesn't respond with, we're done. It's just, I don't like that you drink. Call me when you don't. Making clear of, my firm stance is, I like you who you are, but this version of you I see right now, I don't like.
Mm-hmm.
So let me know when the version of you I like is here.
Yep.
I mean, it's true. There are people who are not a good person after drinking too much.
Yeah.
And we've speculated before that Chet was not a good drunk, and he, part of his problem is he would go in benders and make poor choices, and was not a kind person.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I think a lot of men in his generation, it was very common, and weren't willing to get help, which Shawn and Jack are willing to.
Yeah.
I do know people who their parents were bad drunks. I'm not going to say any names, but I have a very hard suspicion of someone that I love dearly who was probably not a good drunk. And, people avoided falling into that same pitfall just in case, because the love of their children was way more important to them than anything they're going to find out of a bottle.
Mm-hmm.
That's a hard thing to go through, though.
Yep.
But the way that they use Jack in this is probably the first time he's a real character since the second episode.
Yeah, it's really the most real he's felt since that episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it does go heavy-handed here, but it needs to reveal that truth about alcoholism. And so we end on Shawn's apologies.
I do love his apology to Feeney.
Yeah. And his conversation with Alan. We can't skimp on that.
No.
When he talks to Alan, he comes over to talk to Alan and to apologize to him, to let him know that he doesn't have to worry about him drinking anymore. He and Jack are talking to someone about all that. But if he wants him to not see Cory anymore because of all the other stupid stuff he does, he'll stay away. And I love what Alan said. I didn't clip it because it's so short. But Alan lets him know that when he was angry with him, is because he was under the influence of alcohol. The alcohol that Shawn and Cory had been drinking.
Mm-hmm.
And I do love that line because, like I had already mentioned, it shows that alcohol impacts not just you when you drink it, it impacts the people around you because it impacts the world around you. You impact the world around you. You influence the world around you. If you take something inside of you that it can change how you behave, it's going to change the way you impact the world. And if it changes the way you impact the world negatively, like it can, especially when you have those types of genetic markers in you, like Shawn did, it's going to be a bad thing. But yes, Shawn's apologies to Feeney. Great. An apple? But I love what Feeney says too. Shawn, I'm only worried that you're okay. To Topanga, apparently he sent a fruit basket to Topanga that was missing an apple. Feeney gets it to her. And his apology to Angela. It's a nice little way to end, little button to end the episode on. And we have no tag, just a little bit of music to end on. And that...
Well, they did. I do remember they used to have...
There was a PSA
when it
at
first
one
aired,
point.
there's a little PSA of understand the dangers and how to get help.
Yeah, there was a PSA when it first aired about underage drinking. But when it went into syndication, when it first went into syndication, it may have still been there. But especially going into streaming and onto DVD, they did away with that.
I do love that there's two times when Cory and Topanga like greet each other, and they just are not on the same page.
Yeah.
And again, and this is part of the reason why I do enjoy this season is because it shows there is a giant flaw in their relationship. They absolutely do not know at this time how to communicate and how to have a healthy relationship.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Was that too rough on your neck? But yeah.
Yeah. Well. Yes. At the end of the episode, Ben did originally do a public service announcement for alcohol and drug abuse. Actually, it is still available on YouTube. Yeah, we can include a link to it somewhere in our show notes for you good-looking people. If you want to watch it yourselves, we'll leave it up there for you somewhere. But that is our views on the episode. Tyler, do you have any deep dives for us this week?
Of course.
People. Am I the only one who read the summer reading list?
Well, this is how the episode starts. So let's start with the two-bread. Feudalism, also known as the feudal system, was a combination of legal, economic, military, cultural, and political customs that flourished in the medieval Europe from the 9th to the 15th centuries. Broadly defined, it is a way of structuring society around relationships derived from holding land and exchange of service or labor. Feudalism is described as a set of reciprocal, legal, military obligation. I have no idea what that word is. Warrior nobility that revolves around the key concepts of lord, vassals, fiefs, and okay, we're gonna move on from that. we're hitting words I can't understand, and I don't think they're real. All right, riboplasties, Brett, is a surgery that changes the shape of a nose. The reason for the rhinoplasty may be to change the appearance of a nose, improve breathing, or both. The upper part of the structure of the nose is bone, and the lower part is cartilage. Rhinoplasties can change bone, cartilage, skin, or all three. Some risk: bleeding, infections, bad reactions to anesthesia. Other risks include problems breathing through the nose, permanent numbness in or around the nose, possible loss or uneven looking nose, pain, dislocation, and swelling may last, scarring a hole in the wall between the left and the right nostril. That you're being very loud. This condition is also called septal performation. A need for additional surgery or a change in sense of smell. Okay. Brett, I have no. We'll come back to that. We'll end on some fun afterwards.
Okay.
Bridget Fonda, Brett, is an American actress. She is known for her roles in The Godfather Part 3, Single White Female, Singles, Point of No Return, It Could Happen to You, City Hall, Jackie Brown, A Simple Plan, Lake Placid, Kiss of the Dragon. She is nominated for a Golden Globe for Best Supporting Actress for her portrayal as Mandy Rice Davis in Scandal, and received Primetime Emmy and Golden Globes for her film in the Glooming and the Ordinance of Babe. Fonda apparently retired from acting in 2002. I'll tell you, she was born in January 27th, sometime in a year. It's not really polite to give out a lady's age, Brett.
Sometime in a year.
You're welcome. So, yeah, famous actress. Will probably be quite pleased to be compared to. We'll give a link to this, Brett, but basically, I just pulled up the AA website, and it's www.aa.org. And essentially, just the moment you go to it, the first thing you ask is, "Have a problem with alcohol?" There's a solution, and there's stuff to learn more, um, stuff about finding availability. There's ways of communicating with people. There are videos here you can watch, understanding the steps, the traditions. There are so many links within here that if you're ever like, gosh, I really need some help with my alcohol problem, and if you're not ready to go to a meeting, guess what? You can always go to their website.
Mm-hmm.
I know that people don't always have the greatest experience with AA, but it's a good first step for anyone that realizes that they have a major problem with alcohol. So, and I have sat before in NA meetings, even though I wasn't dealing with NA, but I was given permission to sit because it was a public open meeting, and just how often those two things are linked to each other of drugs and alcohol, and how it's a slippery slope. So it's never a bad thing if you think you have a problem. Oh, you get help. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. Okay. Aerial roof markings, Brett. Aerial roof markings are symbols or letters, number of a roof or of a selected police vehicle, fire engines, ambulance, Coast Guard vehicle, cash in transit vans, buses, boats, and uh, enables aircraft or CCTV to identify them. These markings can be used to identify a specific vehicle, specific type of agency, or markings depending on the vehicle. Information required. May also be displayed on the bonnet, boot, or other areas of the vehicle visible from the air. Well, Brett, I assume that what they're basically trying to say is, hey, if there's a number above our vehicle and our vehicle is somewhere, guess what? Camera picks it up. We can say, hey, look, there's number 72. 72 isn't supposed to be there. It's supposed to be over there. I had a thing that basically went through the results of underage drinking for people, but I think we've made it kind of very clear that if you are not of age, you should be avoiding alcohol. There are many, many risks involved, not just addiction, not just the fact of you don't know how your body will respond to alcohol. There is just simply a factor of your body is not ready for it. We'll never judge anyone who partakes too early. Heaven knows I did, but it was never more than a sip here and there. At the end of the day, though, everyone's on a journey, and ow, sometimes part of that journey is your dog pinching you with their elbow. No, good looking people, we are here to be supportive and know that whether it's a nose job or alcohol problem, we're here to be supportive and listen.
That's right.
Oh, all right, Brett. Let's have fun with this. I have a list of 20 celebrities who have admitted to having a nose job. Brett, can you name at least 5?
Oh, good grief. I don't pay enough attention to celebrity gossip to know that. No, I can't name at least 5.
All right, let's just go with this.
Okay, I can name one. Jennifer Aniston.
Number 1 is Jennifer Aniston. Yes,
Okay,
but she was
that's one.
very upfront about that. It was very noticeable. Next up, Brett, is Kaylee Kukos,
Okay, yeah.
Anne Hathaway,
Mm-hmm.
Cameron Diaz, Lisa Kudrow,
Mm-hmm. 2 of the friend ladies.
Khloe Kardashian,
Mm-hmm.
Tyra Banks, Jillian Michaels,
Mm-hmm.
Ashley Tisdale,
Mm-hmm.
Diana Agron,
Deanna Agron from Glee.
Oh,
A show
yeah,
that I didn't
Glee.
watch more than the pilot episode, but Toby's watched the whole thing.
It's a complicated mess, Britt. It's a complicated mess. You
Oh,
had
I
to be
totally
there.
believe it.
Ashley Simpson,
Mm-hmm.
Iggy Azalea, Courtney Love, Roseanne Barr, Tori Spelling, Nene Leakes. I don't know who that is. Kathy Lee Griffin, Heidi Montag, Farrah Abrams. Don't know who that is. And finally, we have a boy, Josh Hutcherson. Peter didn't like his nose. Brett, with that, those are the deep dives.
All right. Well, then.
You know anything about the Odyssey? Huh? Did I say you could talk?
I didn't teach you that.
My friend Mr. Matthews will lead the discussion.
Do I have to draw you a picture?
Tyler, let's talk about what we learned.
Yes, let's.
I'll go first.
Okay.
I'm going to go with do better at watching my kids when they're leaving the house. But overall, be more mindful of your friends. If something seems suddenly different, don't be afraid to ask.
Yep.
Something might be going on.
Yep, that's good.
What about you, Tyler?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with the sentiment of, as the father, we need to be much more aware of what's going on. I feel like that's one of the lessons we keep learning this season, because no one ever tells Alan and Amy what's going on. I mean, I think one of the best lessons as a dad you can learn is listen to what they're trying to tell you first.
Mm-hmm.
And as hard as it is, try your best to not respond in anger to the wrong person.
Mm-hmm. That's right. You don't want to be responsible for creating
vast emotional damage.
It's
Very
right there
nice.
on my board. I had to. All right.
This is why Leonard
I'm right.
Spinelli
You're
is
exactly
who
right.
he is.
So am I done with my education? Can I go?
Alan yelled at me
He's seen
too many times.
angry Allens.
Yes. So, Tyler, how would you grade if you can't be with the one you love?
I mean, it's a solid A-. The thing about this episode and why I'm willing to rank it as high as I'm ranking it, it really comes down to the seriousness that the adults handle this with. That they know they messed up and they don't know how to fully go forward. They do know that they need to convince the boys to not drink again. That doesn't solve their problems. And it's a hard road to go through when someone is truly dealing with the sadness that Cory is, and how to be supportive.
Mm-hmm. Now you give it an A-. I'm gonna go with a B-. It's the ending with from everything from Alan picking up the boys on is solid. Everything leading up to that is middling at best.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Hollywood sanitization of what teenage life is like, what teenage parties are like, how teenagers with alcohol are like.
You were drinking?
Yeah. It's basically two halves of a sandwich that almost go together well. And the second half is really, really good. So a B- is what I'm going with.
Sure.
Yeah. So I owe you a couple of dad jokes before we head out.
That you do.
Do you know if everyone in the world stood shoulder to shoulder around the equator, that 2/3 of them would drown?
Very nice.
Yes, yes. I still remember what my grandfather said right before he kicked the bucket. He told me, "Hey, you want to see me kick this bucket?"
If he's saying sure.
And one more before we go, because I'm still trying to find my button that just disappeared on me. There it is. Did you hear about this new atheism thing? No. It's a non-profit organization.
Nice.
All right. And with that, good-looking people, that's it for us. If you'd like to get in touch with us, you can reach us on our social media channels across Facebook, Instagram, Twitter /X, at dadsmeetworld. It's the same way you can find us on YouTube as well if you're not watching us there already. You can leave us comments, interact with us, send us posts, and we'll respond to you there. If you want to send us an email at dadsmeetworld@gmail.com, and we'll respond to you there as well. And if you want some sweet, nifty Dads Meet World swag, like on my skeleton back there, Steve, which says episode's gonna episode, or some of our new season 5 swag, I need to get my new shirt, my new copy of my new shirt there. I gotta order it tonight.
Yeah,
you can go to dadsmeetworld.threadless.com. So, until next week, good looking. I'll see ya.
Back to you, good looking.
You know, how can I learn so much every week and still be so stupid?
Read the Bible.
I want to be normal, spud.
We are the Timmers.
This is good TV.
Topanga.
Dads Meet World is a production of Headfirst Studios. Headfirst Studios. Tell your story.